Okay guys, so tools required to put this lovely bit of kit together. Ratchet, 19mm or in the USA 3/4 inch, 19mm spanner, I think you guys call it wrenches, rubber hammer, may need that solid hammer, the hitch, the bolts, washers and such like, and possibly a piece of wood for knocking this little piece into place. This little piece goes into the recovery point on the Land Rover, and between the D3 and D4 there's a difference. This is the D3 one, the D4 one is slightly different in diameter for in there. Okay guys, so this is the rubber bush or plastic bush, polyurethane bush that goes into the recovery point on the Land Rover here. There is, as I say, there are two different types, one for the D3, which is this vehicle, or the D4, LR3, LR4 in Americas. So that has to go into there, and you need to locate that in. The manual says about taking one of these off so you can get into there nicely, but I've actually found that if you use a good rubber mallet and such like, you can tap the thing into place, and once it's in place into the middle here, then you can put the rest of the mechanism. Okay guys, just a note for yourselves when you're putting this together. This thing is at this arm is actually shaped. And you'll see there's a tube here. This must go on the left hand side of the vehicle because of the aperture, the shaping in here for the hitch. So once you've got this in place, you'll see both of them the same. You've got a big well here, make sure that's pointing up. So the single piece like that is on the right hand side of the vehicle, the other side it goes to the left hand side of the vehicle here. Okay guys, so what we're going to do now is we're going to present the hitch to the mechanism and to the vehicle. Now this lug here, this mechanism here goes up into an aperture underneath, so you have to locate that into there like so, plop those two bits into there, lift it up and then present the bolt straight through into the other side, and then you can see the mechanism will go up into place there. And then what we'll do now is show you about locating the two bolts that go underneath. So for the moment that's in place there. You've got movement, and then you locate it. Okay guys, so here we can see with the hitch presented up in place, and you see the lugging motion here that goes up into the original Land Rover latch area at the top. So that pushes up in place, and then you can see you've got a set of bolts here. One bolt comes through, and then on the other side here we have a set of nuts, bolts and washers. Now this big spacer has to go on top underneath the bumper, so you have to get your hand up on the inside and locate that inside the vehicle. Okay guys, so what we see at the moment is Kevin's underneath and he's starting to sort of tighten up the bolts a little bit so we can get the mechanism secured and aligned properly. So at the moment we're just checking full alignment, make sure it's all nice and square onto the vehicle. We're square in the middle of the car, so this line, if you like, for the new recovery point is square right in the middle of the existing Land Rover recovery point. So it's nice and square on the car, and it's just sort of tightening those up a little bit so we get all the bolts sort of tight just before we torque them up to the required level. Okay guys, so we've now completely located this in place. All the bolts are now torqued up to the required level. It's a bit of a mission trying to get this one on here. If you've got a small enough socket you can get in on there on that, you can do it. If not, with that socket out, the manufacturer does recommend taking that socket out, but you can do it without. I have a fairly small 3/8 drive that I can get on that with and sort it out with a torque bar. So again, make sure this recovery point here, that line is central to the vehicle, and that way you know that when you're towing, the hitch that comes up to the car is central to the car, and it's nice and safe, and that keeps you much safer. Overall, we have to say this is an incredible bit of a kit. The design, the quality, the build, the welding, it's just first class, it really is. We love the little feature here of the dust cover to the tow hitch recover, the square receiver, to keep it nice and clean when it's not in use. Brilliant little add on to the thing, and it also keeps it a bit tidier at the back of the car. Overall, we have to say this is an amazing bit of kit, highly recommended, and well done to the manufacturer.